and some deep insight into the scriptures. With that, thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
As I was driving here, it's not working, I was thinking when I first came here, and it was 50 years ago, to this very temple, and there were the three brothers, Hare Krishna Maharaj, and Sri Lal, who passed away, who helped us a lot, and there was a third brother who was in charge of the libraries for the schools. And since I was sponsoring books into schools, I used to come and see him. But the Hare Krishna Maharaj, his son, was teaching me Hindi. Because I thought to preach to the Indian people, I must know Hindi. But then after a very short time, I realized they all speak English. And there's no need, so I stopped learning it. But I used to come here. And these three brothers and their children helped me, and it was very nice. So we'll chant a few verses to create a spiritual atmosphere, but of course, this is also called the New Jagannath Temple. And so immediately that name, Jagannath, invokes auspiciousness. Om Agina Tamarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshumantam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Didanti Swam Vedantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapatakamulam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sankrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Vedam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishavitam Cha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchan Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivashesha Shunyavadi Praskachadi Satarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Now everyone, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll read from Bhagavad Gita, I think chapter 6, text number chapter 8. Chapter 8, text number 6. So, chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, text number 6. Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses, and it's spoken in part of the Mahabharata. There's two great epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. So, previously, persons were more spiritually inclined, and therefore they could understand philosophy. But in this age we're living in, it's referred to as the Kali Yuga, human beings, they're not so philosophically inclined. The Bhagavatam says, Mandu Samanda Matayo Mandu Pagrupadrita. Human beings in this age tend to be a little lazy, misguided, unlucky, quarrelsome, and above all, always disturbed. So, Lord Krishna, spoke the Bhagavad Gita, and although it's the highest philosophy, it's part of this great epic, the Mahabharata, which is a story, but we believe it actually took place. 5,000 years ago, there was this great fight, if you like, or war. But in the previous ages, there would be sometimes wars, for instance, Ravana and Ramchandra, but the fighting was only amongst the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas, they're like warrior type people. So there's Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And these four classes of people, they exist. And they naturally are always there. You can't dissolve this. The Brahmins would be the intellectuals. Those who are more interested in the meaning of life. They're more religious, they're more pious. They're more inclined to godly activities. That would correspond nowadays to your intellectuals. You know, your professors and your intellectuals and all that. And then Brahmin, then Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are administrators, like King Yudhishthira, Arjuna. So we have many administrators. And tomorrow we're going to probably vote for one of them. Or, as the case may be, not vote. It's up to you. But all these administrators, they like administrating. Of course, they also may get a little kickback. But anyhow, administrators, they just naturally like to control things, people, etc. And then you've got your Vaishyas. Your Vaishyas are like the merchants, business people. And then the Sudras, they're like the workers. So in this present age, most people are Sudras. If we compare it to the body, the Brahmin would be the head, the Kshatriyas would be the hands, like if someone attacks you, you defend yourself with your hands. The Vaishya would be like the stomach, and the Sudras would be like the legs. So all are important. All are important. But the head, you could say, relatively, is more important. Would you agree? You can live without your arms, and there are people who have lost their arms. Stomach, I don't know whether you can live without a stomach, but I know my grandmother had her stomach taken out when she was 85. in England. Legs, you can have your legs amputated and still live. But the head, you can't live without the head. So Krishna consciousness is trying to educate people and bring them to this higher level, men and women equally, to the Brahminical level. The Brahminical or Brahmin level is controlling the senses, being sober, reading sastra or scripture, controlling one's anger, especially controlling lust. So these are Brahminical qualities. And what we're trying to do as the Hare Krishna movement or Vaishnavism, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, started by our guru, Srila Prabhupada, we're trying to educate people to these Brahminical standards. But beyond or even higher than the Brahmin is the Vaishnav. And the Vaishnav, man or woman, is the devotee or the servant of Krishna or one of his expansions. That would be Lord Ramchandra, Sitaram, or Lord Jagannath, or Lakshmi Nrsingadev. On Wednesday last was the appearance of Nrsingadev. Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu. These are all Vishnu Tattva, is called expansions of Krishna. But Krishna is the original. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Avatari, or the source of all avatars. And there are numerous avatars, and I just said a few of their names. But many others you may not have heard of, like Hari Griva, Matsya, Kurama, Janardana, Trivikram, four-handed Vishnu forms in Vaikuntha, all expansions of Krishna. So we're trying to educate people on these higher standards of life. And when you become the Vaishnav or Brahminical, automatically you're in the mode of goodness. And the mode of goodness means your mind is more peaceful. You're not so agitated. You're not so restless. And then coming lower down is the mode of passion. It's where you're very passionate, always running around, going here, going there. And passion also means you want a lot of material opulence. You're passionate people, their goal in life is the fancy car, the nice house, double story, and then the big garage, and then you must have a swimming pool, although you don't use it. Right? You have the swimming pool, but you never use it. And the sauna bath, and many other things. So the mode of passion, you can feel the mode of passion. I'll give you an example. You drive on a Friday night. Can you feel it in the traffic? And people zooming here and there to Amshlanga and Belito Bay, to the nightclubs or whatever, or Suncoast, or Sabaya. Passion, passion, passion. But now, you drive on a Monday night. Can you see the difference? Monday night, people are falling asleep while they drive. There's very little passion. So you can see that. You go to the stock market, where they're bidding money and this, very passionate, very passionate. Football match, cricket match, passion, it's passion. And then below the mode of passion is the mode of ignorance. And the mode of ignorance means drugs. It means alcohol, gambling, and invariably that ends up in fighting and other things like that. So you have this, the lowest, the mode of ignorance, And then above that is the mode of passion. Then above that is the mode of goodness. And mode of goodness is Brahminical, or is the Brahmin. Yeah. But higher than Brahminical is the Vaishnava, the devotee of the Lord. He or she is actually superior even. So we're trying to spread God consciousness in a very atheistic age. Everything is very atheistic. We see that. The word is secular. So they separate religion and running the country. It's called secular. So you go to school, you don't learn about God. You're more inclined to learn about Darwin's theory of evolution. Previously, I remember when I went, this is going back now a while, 60 years, like another century, last century, I would go to school and we'd have the morning prayer. And we'd go into the assembly and we'd say the prayers to God. Hallowed be thy name. Do they say that at school nowadays? Yeah, because you've got Muslims, you've got Hindus, you've got all different. So you have to say them all, and then you're there the whole day. Huh?
I used to say it.
You used to say it in school, yeah. So I remember we'd line up, and then the whole school would say the prayers. And then I remember, I was a young boy, 7 years old, 8 years old, and I didn't know whether there was a God or not. I didn't know whether there was a God. So I thought, let me make an experiment. So I'm 7 years old. And I prayed to God for a golden ship. Strange thing to pray to God for. But then I was only 7 or 8 years old. And I thought, if I get one, then that proves God exists. Childish, very childish. Of course, I didn't get a golden ship. But then when I was 20, as he explained, I joined the temple in London and became an aspiring devotee of Krishna. So God exists. He's a person. Nityam Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanam. This is described that there's one eternal and there's many eternals. And the one eternal supports the many. So the one eternal is God, and the many eternals are the living entities. And that one supreme absolute truth, or God, supports or maintains the numerous living entities. So we're being maintained by God, by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. Somehow or other we're living here in this material world, and things are not happening by chance. We don't support this. The idea is that nothing happens by chance. From chance, you cannot get order. And we see there's order. The sun rises at the same time. The sun sets at the same time. The moon, it was Purnim the other day, and now slowly the moon is vanishing. So there is order. There is order. We see this. So this idea that the theory of chance or chaos is not supported. It's like the evolutionists. They say we came by chance or we came by accident. So we give the example that there's a printing press, and into that printing press you throw a bomb, and there's an explosion, and out of the explosion, by chance, comes a dictionary, fully printed. Now, are you going to accept that? Any intelligent person will say that's ridiculous. But the atheist will say, if you have enough explosions and enough printing presses, eventually a dictionary will come out. That's the hardcore atheists who refuse to accept the presence of a supreme being. So of course we don't accept this, and we're preaching against this. But we see in culture, Western culture, the idea is presented, we only have one life. The biggest problem in our present society is we do not accept a next life. We think when we die, we're cremated or we're buried, and that's it, finish. But Shastra or scripture, Bhagavad Gita, and the Vedic scriptures, they tell us that we are the soul within the body, and we're eternal. And when our body gets old, which is inevitable, and begins to malfunction, like an old car, the different parts of the body don't work, like the heart and the lungs. So then the body dwindles, apakshaya, the word is apakshaya, means dwindles. And then at a certain age, 18, 90, 100, or younger even, one leaves the body. So we are the soul within the body. And we leave that body. Then the body is burnt or is buried according to your particular religion. But that's the body. That's like the outer clothing. Today you're wearing your devotional clothes. Tomorrow you go to vote and you're wearing your casual clothes. Thursday you go to the beach and you're wearing your beach clothes. Friday you go for an appointment perhaps to get a job and you wear a smart clothes suit or something. So you can change your clothes from day to day, and even during the day you change your clothes, so you can change your body. And the Bhagavad Gita also says this. Chapter 2, text 22. Nijani Vamsi Janani Yata Vyahaya Nivani Granati Naroparani Shasha Sarani Vihai Jarani Anyati Samyani Nirvani Dehi. It's a bit of a tongue twister. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, our Guru. Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of body, which appear from childhood to boyhood, boyhood to youth, from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. So, problem in modern society is people do not accept the next life. And they're very busy with this life. So that's all right. But one should also understand next life, and the one after that, and the one after that. So the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic scriptures teach us the existence of the soul. You are now sitting in this hall temporarily. You came maybe half an hour ago or 1 hour, and in 1 hour's time, you leave the hall. So you are living within this body, temporarily, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. And then you leave this body, just like you leave this hall. So if you're sitting in this hall and I say, you are the hall, then that's misconception. So to think, I am this body is wrong. You are the soul within the body. I can ask you, you touch your head, so it's my head, it's my ear, it's my mouth, it's my heart. So who is the my? Who's the my? That's the soul. And the soul is situated in the area of the heart. So then you may ask, all right, well, what if I have a heart transplant? Do I become a different person? No, the soul is in the area of the heart, but it's subtle, like the mind. You can't see the mind. You can't weigh the mind. The mind doesn't have a color. The mind is not black or white. What is the size of the mind? It's subtle. It's like air. You can't actually see it, but without it, you can't exist. So the soul is situated in the area of the heart. And you replace the heart, you are the same person. But if that heart doesn't work properly, it's like a pump. The heart is nothing more than a pump. If you have a pump, like a water pump or an oil pump, and it breaks down, big trouble. So if the heart breaks or becomes clogged up, we go for operation. But if the heart is damaged too much, you leave the body. But you are eternal. This is the point. So human form of life is meant for understanding this. Human form of life is not meant just for working hard like an ass or a dog perhaps. It's meant for something special. We can ask you, what is the difference between the animal and the human being? Apart from their shape. But we're also animals, but we have intelligence. So now, Tuesday evening, it's human beings that are here. And where are all the dogs and the cats and the bats and the fish? Where are they? They're sleeping in their kennels, barking at people as you go by. So we're making some inquiry. We're human beings. We're rational. We can ask ourselves these questions. What actually happens when I die? When my parents, who I'm very much attached to, when they die, when they leave their body, or my son or daughter, where do they go? Are they still existing? Is there such a thing as heaven, if you like, or higher planets? What is the arrangement of God? People sometimes, they have faith in God, but it's shallow. It's not substantiated by philosophy, but it's sentimental faith. And then we ask them, there'll be many Christians and so forth. They don't believe in next life. And they don't believe in the law of karma. Karma. Karma means what you sow, so you shall reap. So if you were pious in your past lives, then this lifetime, materially, you become opulent. Material opulence is four things. It's having wealth, material wealth. It's being very attractive, handsome. It's being smart, being very intelligent, and good health. So this is due to past activities. So sometimes we ask the Christians, you don't believe in a past life, and then we ask them, is God equal to everyone? So now if I ask you that question, how would you answer? Is God equal, or does he have his favorites? He's equal. Even a father should be equal, or the mother to the children. So he's equal. And then secondly, is there some evil force or something superior to God? Or is God the supreme controller? Does he control everything? Or is there someone above him? No, he is the supreme controller. So why does he arrange or allow one person to be born in a very wealthy family and to be very attractive and to be very smart, and another person is born into a very poor family and they are born with AIDS or tuberculosis, and they don't even know who their father is, and they get rejected by their mother? Is it God's arrangement? Because if it's his arrangement, then he's not being fair. He's not being equal. So obviously this points towards past. So the past activities can be shown by how your situation in this material world. I give this example. There was one man, what was it? Castro, that's right, Castro. And he was in California. This is last year. And he was just ordinary person. And he was working, ordinary person. So I think he was a Latino from Spanish descent, Mr. Castro. And he went to a supermarket, this is in California, and he bought a ticket. What ticket? Lotto ticket. And it cost him $2. $2. And he bought a lotto ticket for $2. And how much did he win? He broke all records. $2 billion. That's what he won. $2 billion. Of course, the government took away from tax and this and that. But he came out with $1 billion. Now, that's not bad, huh? By the way, that's 20 billion rands. 20 billion rands. So he went from being somewhat poor or just average to having 20 billion rands. How is that? It's not luck. It's not chance. It's in his past lives, he gave in charity. And he gave in charity to the right people, the Brahmins and the devotees of God. And he got it back, multiplied thousands of times. You can give charity in the mode of ignorance, charity in the mode of passion, or charity in the mode of goodness. Charity in the mode of ignorance is the drunk knocks on your door. The drug addict stops you at the red robot, and he wants the money. What's he going to do with the money? He's going to buy drugs. That's charity, but in the mode of ignorance. It's no use. You're just encouraging him in illusion. And charity in the mode of passion is where you give some donation, like Mr. R.K. Khan's, but your name has to be there, on the plaque. Of course, I was looking at this plaque, but Swami Shivananda didn't ask for that. But some of his followers may have put it there. But when you insist, yes, I'll give for this hall or this school or this park, but it's got to be named after me, Mr. M.L. Sultan. So now you give in charity in the mode of passion like Mr. M.L. Sultan. In your next life, he'll be very intelligent because he's helping people educate themselves. Mr. R.K. Khan, he'll be very healthy in his next life because he gave money for a hospital. But it's not spiritual. Spiritual means you give donation or give your time or intelligence or money or effort in a spiritual cause, which is to spread pure God consciousness throughout the world and to less fortunate people, and try to educate people in the science of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a science. Raja Vidya is the king of knowledge. So you may build a university or a college where material knowledge is given, computers and geography and history and English. But this is not spiritual knowledge. But still, you'll get a good result. So we humbly request that you take seriously this chanting of Krishna's name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. It is very easily done. You don't have to pay money. It makes no difference, you're man or woman, black or white, or young or old. This is all bodily concept. You can chant the names of God. Actually, you can chant any names of God, but it's just the Maha Mantra is more powerful. But Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Narayana Namaha, these are all bona fide names of God. And one may be more inclined to chant these names, like Ajamil. Ajamil chanted the name Narayana, 4-syllable name of God, Narayan. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very nice verse, just to give you the comparison, the effect of chanting the name of God. That if you give koti means 10 million cows in charity on an eclipse. You're supposed to, when the eclipse, you're supposed to give in charity or take bath in the Ganges or the Jamuna or the sea when there's an eclipse. So you give 10 million cows when there's an eclipse. Or if you live for millions of years on the confluence of the river Ganges and the river Jamuna, or you give in charity to Brahmins a mountain of gold, it is not equal in spiritual strength or blessings to 1/100th the result you'll get from chanting the name of God. So this is the 8th offense to the holy name, to think that these karma-kandiya activities or worship of demigods is the same as chanting the name of God or Krishna. So we humbly request you try this chanting. As I was driving here, I was chanting. When I go back, I'll be chanting. You can chant any time, any place, in the bed. There's going to come a time when you get ill and you get COVID or whatever it is, and definitely you're going to leave your body. That's guaranteed. So we must practice this chanting now. When we're a little younger, we're a little bit more healthy now. And this chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be done every day, not just once a year or on Krishnastami or Shivatri or certain days. Actually, it should be done every day. And the more you can chant, then the more blessings, the more you can attract the mercy of God or Krishna to you and to those you're attached to. You obviously were attached to our parents and children, and they may not be devotees of God. They may be rebellious. They may be quite wild. But still, we can purify them on our strength. So you become more serious in your spiritual life. That has an overlapping effect on your present family members and those that are deceased. In other words, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. And chanting the Lord's name is so powerful that even family members who aren't born yet, they're not born yet, they also get purified. Simply based on your devotion to the Lord. And the more advanced you can become, then the more powerful is your purifying effect. So in the Hindu culture, of course, we have these ceremonies, Pita Pak. And in every religion, people are praying for their forefathers and stuff like that. I know I've read in China, of course, they don't cremate, they bury. And it's a big thing. So they save up money for the place to be buried. And it costs a lot of money, like in Hong Kong or Singapore, for instance. Land, you just can't get land. So they save up money. They bury the forefathers, and then, or the parents, when their ceremonies, 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years come, they go to the graveyard, and they take paper money, and they burn it, and they offer. So the idea is, I'm offering it to my forefathers, paper money, or a small little plastic Mercedes, or perhaps a Ferrari, or perhaps a Rolls Royce, but it's a little plastic one. And they offer it. So the idea that we owe something to our forefathers is actually true. There is a debt to forefathers. There's a debt to demigods. There's a debt to the sages. And there's a debt to various animals. Like when we're brought up, we live on milk. So that's the cow. But this debt can be paid automatically by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Simply by chanting, this debt can be paid. But if you're not so convinced, then we have what is called the Karma Kandya. And the Karma Kandya section of the Vedic scriptures is where you worship all the different demigods. Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Ganapati. And then you do these different fire yajnas, which you can do if you like. But superior to that is simply the chanting in the name of God. So thank you very much. Some questions? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
6 questions.
So there's 6 questions I've been told.
Can I just clarify, the questions on the second page, is that from tonight? Yes. Oh, so that has more, 8.
Oh, so I'll have to go over them a little bit quickly. So thank you for asking these questions, because that is a sign of intelligence, to question. We're not like sheep, where we should just automatically follow. We sometimes should question our existence and etc. Please sing about the holy places of Vrindavan. Well, I would like to sing, and I used to sing. And the harmonium, I taught myself Madanga, but unfortunately I have trigeminal neuralgia, which is pain in the nerves on the mouth. So it's better I don't. But I have imported certain persons who will sing nice kirtans. Is it true that the soul leaves the body when you sleep and it returns? If the soul, yes, you have a gross body, you have a subtle body. Now the gross body, you see it in the mirror. It's made of flesh and bones and skin. But the subtle body is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. So when you're asleep, deep sleep, the subtle body sometimes comes out and may wander around, the subtle body. But still there's a connection with the gross body, because if the soul actually properly left, you die. And there are people that actually do die in their sleep. So the subtle body floats around and floats here, floats there, and then sometimes you might remember a little bit of a dream. Sometimes, a little bit of a dream you might remember. If we are not initiated, will we not be liberated whilst we have been following all the principles? To initiate means you accept bona fide guru in one of the sampradayas. There's 4 sampradayas. Sri Sampradaya, coming from Lakshmi. Rudra Sampradaya, coming from Lord Shiva. Nimbaka Sampradaya, coming from the 4 Kumaras. And the sampradaya that we are in, this one. And this is coming from Brahma. And it's called the Brahma Sampradaya. Technically the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, and sometimes they say Saraswat Sampradaya. So this Hare Krishna movement is bona fide, comes in Sampradaya. And if you can get initiated, you should. But sometimes it happens that someone doesn't. But still, if you are spiritually pure, you can also go back to the spiritual world. But it is favorable to get initiated. But it is not, you can be initiated, but still be quite lusty and proud. And you may not be initiated, but be very humble. Another question. Why is garlic and onions in our daily cooking not allowed? Part of the Vedas is the Ayurveda, which deals with medicine. And it describes that onions and garlic are in the mode of ignorance. So when you eat it, you have an opposite reaction, onions and garlic. So we do not offer that to Krishna. It's not recommended to offer it to Krishna. And we only eat food that is offered to Krishna. Onions and garlic. But of course, more worse than that is KFC, which I did happen to notice as I was driving into Tongaat. And then more worse than that would be the mutton and all that. And of course the worst would be to take the flesh of a cow. So that at least we should avoid. I do recall some devotees, I can't remember whether they were initiated, but they were very attached to onions and I think garlic. So they cooked without it, offered it to Krishna, took it off the altar, and then mixed in onions and garlic. So at least that's being somewhat respectful. I was told to associate with only Vaishnavas from ISKCON. I don't believe this is a correct, because associating with Vaishnavas is recommended in scripture, does not matter the sampradaya. Can you please clarify? You're completely correct. Sadhu Sangha. You associate with a sadhu, a man or a woman who is spiritually advanced, has nothing to do with what sampradaya. So I said we have the Sri Sampradaya. In South India it's more. And the Nimbakas and the Vallabhacharyas. We don't really have in South Africa, we don't get the followers of Nimbaka and Vallabha, but the ISKCON mission is quite widely preached and accepted in South Africa and actually all over the world. Whereas these other sampradayas, you're going to have to go to India. But there you can find, like in South India, Udupi, Sri Sampradaya, and it's bona fide. And they're Vaishnavas. But they emphasize more the worship of Lakshmi Narayan, but that's all right, because Narayan is expansion of Krishna. So you can associate with such persons. But we should not hear criticism. That's the main thing. We should not hear criticism of devotees or Vaishnavas in any sampradaya. Therefore, we deeply respect Jesus Christ and Mohammed. We respect them. We may bow down to them. Question 6. Swamiji, as South Africa celebrates 30 years of democracy, we reflect on the progress made towards unity and equality. However, we still face challenges like social cohesion, economic inequality, and racial tension. How can this timeless wisdom of Krishna consciousness guide us to deepen our understanding of unity? You can only have unity when you understand from the spiritual point of view, everyone is equal. Spiritually, a man is equal to a woman is equal to a man. And this dog that's barking, that's agreeing with me, is also equal to me. See? And I'm equal to the dog. But that's the soul. The soul, not the body. That he has a dog's body. I have a human body. You might say, well, it's all one, we're all equal. All right? So there's a lion, all right? Kruger National Park, a ferocious lion, or perhaps a black mamba has creeped into your kitchen in Tongaat. So we're all equal. Embrace the black mamba. Embrace the lion. Embrace the crocodile. I was driving to Ampangani or up there, Richards Bay. This is 30 years ago. And wherever I would see a river, I used to like to take bath. Because you think it's the Ganges, the Jamuna. So I took bath in this river. I was swimming around in the river. And then I got to Richards Bay, and I said, yes, we're a little late, because I just stopped to take bath in this river. And they said, did you see the crocodiles? I was shocked. Crocodiles. So spiritually, you can only have unity when you come to the spiritual understanding. So that's what we're trying to teach. We're all equal. The Indians, the colors, the black-bodied, the whites, the Spanish, Portuguese, the Americans, the Mexicans, we're all equal, spiritually. But materially, we're all different. There's no two people the same in this hall. Would you agree? You're all different size, slightly different color. You all have different accents. You all dress differently. So materially, you can't have equality. There's always be a difference. Even you may have twins. Sometimes you have twins, and they look the same. But the mother can tell the difference. Isn't it? Even though they're twins, and they look the same. So, materially, there'll always be the differences. But spiritually, so therefore, in order to have a peaceful society throughout the world and South Africa, there has to be a spiritual dimension to our life. And that's what we're trying to preach. So that's our message to the South African citizens, to try to develop some genuine spiritual knowledge. Now I've got another question. In diversity, this is carrying on from the other. So guide us to deepen our understanding of unity in diversity and help us build a more inclusive and harmonious society where everyone can thrive and reach their full potential. So there has to be the spiritual element, and that's what we're teaching, Bhagavad Gita. You're not this body. You're the soul, and therefore you're equal. Everyone is equal to each other. Please, will you kindly explain what is the supreme absolute truth and Brahman? The supreme absolute truth is a name for God, and Brahman generally refers to the effulgence coming from the Lord. So we look at the sun. The sun is the effulgence, and that's coming from the body of the supreme absolute truth. The supreme absolute truth is God or Krishna. Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. With regards to the supersoul in my heart, how can I picture the supersoul, Shiradakshaya, in my heart? You can read the Bhagavatam. Dhruva Maharaj prayed to Lord Narayan, or the supersoul, known as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and there's description. Very detailed, 4 hands. And in each hand, conch shell, club, disc, and lotus. And then a flower garland, smiling, different color dhoti. There's description in the Bhagavatam, very detailed. So you take that description, you memorize it, and that's how you can pray. You can't make up and concoct your idea of God. It's got to come from Sastra or Scripture. Does he, the Lord, look like the picture in Bhagavad Gita as it is? On the front cover, we have a picture of Krishna, and he's driving the chariot of Arjuna. So in that picture, he has 2 hands. So the ultimate form of God is 2-handed in Vrindavan. But the supersoul, or the 4-handed form, is an expansion of Krishna. So sometimes yogis, they prefer to meditate on the supersoul in the heart. And you can do this if you want. And this indicates Shantaras. And it's bona fide. Perfectly all right. Is he like a mini Vishnu sitting next to my soul? Or is he a form of energy? Well, he's both. He's a form of energy, like this light bulb here now. It's a form of energy, but it also has a shape. It's a light bulb. See? And the effulgence permeates. So the Lord's effulgence is represented by the sun, and it pervades the universe, or this particular universe. It's described the sun as the center of this universe. Does my soul reach or encircle him? Is it possible for me to imagine him, or is it not possible with my material mind? You can't imagine. The mind is limited. God is unlimited. But when the Lord wants to reveal himself, he will. And he will reveal himself when he sees, oh, this devotee in Tongaat or North Coast, they have devotion. They're chanting the names of God. Therefore, I will reveal myself little by little. Not one time. Because if you have darshan of Lord Narayan straight away, you'll faint. This is Narada Muni. He had darshan of the Lord, and he fainted actually. It's the darshan of the Lord is overwhelming. So little by little. Then another question. I think this is the last one. The more rounds I chant, feel my problems are multiplying. Why is this? The more closer I get to Krishna, I feel drowning in an ocean of sorrow. So this means you're not chanting properly. Yeah? If you've got a disease and you go to a good doctor and he gives you the medicine and you take it, but it doesn't work, it means you're not taking them. Sometimes you're supposed to take 3 times a day. So you take it once a week, or you take it all the medicine once, the whole bottle, and then you end up in a coma. It means you're not taking the medicine properly. So the medicine is the holy name of the Lord. And if we chant it properly without offenses, there's 10 offenses, then we're going to feel peaceful, and eventually we're going to feel ecstatic and completely self-realized. But there are 10 offenses to be avoided. You just have to try to avoid these offenses. And the first one, parama aparad, is to be critical or blaspheme, castigate. It's a nice word, isn't it? Huh? Obligate, castigate, criticize other devotees. And that would include Jesus Christ, of course. So we don't do that. So if you're chanting and you're not feeling enlightened or enlivened, it means you're not chanting properly. And you should go back to basics and try to develop proper sambandhana jnana, knowledge. But continue. You must continue, even though you might not get the result straight away. Continue. So I was thinking what I could say about tomorrow. And I looked up Shakespeare. You know, William Shakespeare. To be or not to be. Then I thought, to vote or not to vote. And I leave it to you. But obviously our faith is in Lord Krishna and anyone who can teach us about Krishna. So thank you very much. Please, I'll pray to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Nrsingadev, Jagannath, Subhadra and Balaram. This temple is in their name, that they can bestow their mercy upon you and your family members, your previous descendants, previous family members, and you can increase your faith in the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anyone like to ask any more points or questions? It's very nice to see so many devotees in Tongaat. Tongaat was always a special place, and when I first came here, it was in 1975. I first came here. I was coming here, I told you, to learn Hindi, but in those days Tongaat was a little different, as I think the older people will agree. So we're living in a time of change, and our bodies are changing. We're getting older. So before it's too late, take to this chanting of Krishna's name. Thank you. We'll end with a short kirtan.
We have a round of applause